If you've ever stayed up past midnight scrolling through YouTube, then you might have already brushed against it without realizing. I should warn you now, whatever curiosity brought you here will not protect you from what I'm about to tell you. In fact, it's the same curiosity that ruined me. But you're still listening, aren't you? You want to know. Everyone always does. The story begins with something simple, something laughable, a rumor. People whispered about a channel that only uploaded after midnight, videos that never appeared in the daylight. At first, it sounded like one of those dumb internet myths, like the cursed VHS tapes or chain emails that promised a ghost would visit if you didn't forward them. Just another creepypasta floating around forums. But there was something different about this one. For one, no one ever shared the actual name of the channel. They described what they saw, vague things, unsettling details, but if they tried to post a link, it would vanish. Even screenshots blurred into unreadable static. It became this weird taboo. People didn't even want to type the letters out loud, as if the name itself was some kind of invitation. I didn't believe it, not really. Who would? But the part that stuck with me was how people described the feeling. Not what the videos showed, but what lingered after. They'd write things like, "I can't sleep anymore," or "I hear ticking all the time," or "I think it's watching me now." You'd think they were exaggerating, until you noticed how abruptly their accounts would go silent. Whole threads disappearing overnight. Accounts deleted, comments purged, like they'd never existed. Maybe that's what hooked me. Not the fear, but the silence. The gaps where explanations should have been. Because nothing makes you more desperate to know the truth than seeing it ripped away before you can read it. It was like dangling a secret in front of me, just close enough to brush against. And if I'm being honest, I was vulnerable then. Insomnia had me crawling the web at ungodly hours, feeding on garbage content just to keep my brain busy. I wasn't looking for danger. I was looking for distraction. But when distraction takes the shape of a locked door with a sign that says "Do not enter," well, you know what happens next. The first night I went searching, I told myself it was just for fun. A little spooky internet scavenger hunt to kill time. But there was this gnawing thought in the back of my head. If all these people were making it up, why was everyone so scared to say its name? Why did the stories always end mid-sentence? I didn't believe it either, not until the first night I clicked. And once you click, you can't unsee it. So, if you're still here, if you're leaning forward, straining to catch every word, then take this as your first and final warning. The channel exists, and it doesn't just upload videos. It uploads you. I told myself it was just a story, just one more creepy tale in a sea of them. But that night, as the clock crept past midnight and my room was lit only by the pale glow of my monitor, I decided to test it. What's the harm in scrolling through YouTube at 12:01, right? That was my logic. I wasn't expecting to find anything. At first, it looked like every other night. Same feed, same junk recommendations, late-night comedy clips, half-baked conspiracy videos, horror game streams. I was ready to shut the whole idea down, chalk it up as wasted time, when something caught my eye. A thumbnail, if you can even call it that. It wasn't a picture. It was nothing. Just a square of static gray, like an error image. The title was even stranger. No words, no numbers. Only a flickering line that looked like corrupted text. It shouldn't have even been clickable, but it was. And somehow, despite myself, I clicked. The video didn't load right away. The screen went black, buffering endlessly, while the timestamp read midnight/midnight. No length. No bar to scrub through. Just a spinning wheel. Like it was testing my patience. I almost laughed at how anticlimactic it was. But right as I hovered over the exit, it started. The first frame was nothing more than a dimly lit room. Concrete walls, a single wooden chair, and a clock on the far side, ticking so loudly I swore I could hear it in my own apartment. The camera didn't move. Nothing happened. Just 30 seconds of emptiness. I thought, this is it. This is the big scary channel. But the weird part wasn't the video. It was the comments. They weren't normal. No usernames, no avatars. Just lines of text appearing in real time, like a live feed of whispers. Don't stay. Turn it off. It knows you now. And every time I tried to scroll, the comments would vanish, erased before I could reread them. I tried posting one myself, just the word fake. And it disappeared the moment I hit enter. I sat there, uneasy but hooked. My rational brain screamed, it's an ARG. Someone coded a creepy gimmick. That would have explained the blank thumbnails, the vanishing posts. But the longer I stared, the less it felt like performance art. There was no punchline, no big reveal. Just silence, ticking, and the sense that someone, or something, was waiting for me to give up. The video ended as abruptly as it began. No outro, no recommendations, just a black screen. I refreshed, expecting it to disappear, but the channel remained. Only now it showed a subscriber count, 1. Me. I didn't subscribe. At least, I don't remember clicking anything. But there it was, staring back at me. My name, bound to it. I should have stopped then. Closed the browser, shut down the laptop, gone to bed. But curiosity doesn't work like that, does it? It's a hook you can't pull out once it's buried deep enough. So I stayed up, digging for proof. I found scraps scattered across forgotten corners of the internet. Old Reddit threads locked for rule violations. Archived forum posts cut off mid-sentence. A few survivors who claimed to have seen the same channel described the same details. The blank thumbnails, the silent rooms, the ticking clocks. One user even described the exact chair I had seen. But the strangest part? Every post ended the same way. Not with closure, with fear. I can't talk about it anymore. They're watching me now. Delete this thread, please. Each entry stopped cold, like someone had slammed their laptop shut mid-keystroke. No one ever came back to finish the story. That should have been enough to scare me away. Instead, it only made me want to know more. Because silence, real silence, always hides something bigger. And that night, as the clock struck 12:30, I found myself refreshing, waiting to see if another video would appear. And it did. The second night, I told myself I wouldn't go looking for it. I swore I'd sleep. But when the clock rolled past midnight, my body betrayed me. My hand reached for the mouse before I even realized it. And there it was again, waiting like it had been all along. Another gray thumbnail. Another corrupted title. This one sat heavier in my chest, like a weight I hadn't agreed to carry. Still, I clicked. At first glance, it looked the same as before. A static room, concrete walls, that same battered wooden chair. But this time the angle was different. The camera sat closer, lower, like it had been moved. The chair wasn't empty anymore either. Someone was sitting in it. The figure was hard to make out. Blurry, distorted, like the camera lens was fogged over. Their head hung forward, their arms bound behind the chair. No sound, no movement. Just a faint buzz of static under the ticking clock. I leaned closer, waiting for them to move. Waiting for something to happen. Minutes passed. The screen didn't change. The figure didn't twitch. It was maddening. The kind of slow burn dread that makes your skin itch. I told myself I'd close it if nothing happened by the 5-minute mark. But when that time came, I couldn't. My finger hovered over the trackpad, frozen, because part of me knew something would happen the moment I tried to leave. And then it did. Not on screen. In my apartment, the temperature dropped, sudden and sharp, like someone had opened a freezer door behind me. My breath fogged. I could hear the faint hum of the video, but underneath it, whispering. Not from the laptop speakers. From the walls. From behind me. I spun around, heart pounding. No one there. Just my empty living room. But when I turned back, the figure on screen had changed. Their head wasn't hanging anymore. They were staring directly at the camera. No face. Just the impression of eyes. 2 pits darker than shadow, locked onto me. The clock ticked louder, each beat hammering against my skull. I tried lowering the volume, but nothing changed. Louder and louder, until I felt it in my teeth. And in the comments, God, the comments, they started rolling in again. Don't look away. Keep watching. It notices. I tried typing something, anything, but my words disappeared like before. Erased, swallowed whole. The figure leaned forward slightly, the ropes digging into their arms. My stomach turned when I realized the bruises on their wrists were fresh, the skin raw and peeling. And then I heard it. My name. Whispered, low, almost drowned out by the ticking. I froze. I told myself I'd imagined it, that it was audio bleed, a trick of suggestion. But then it came again, clearer, louder, my full name, as if someone were crouched just behind me, lips brushing my ear. I slammed the laptop shut. Silence. Darkness. My heart still raced, every nerve screaming. I sat there in the glow of my apartment, gripping the edges of the desk, telling myself it was over. Just a creepy video. Just stress and exhaustion. Nothing more. But the whisper didn't stop. Even with the laptop closed, I could still hear it. Faint slithering. My name, over and over. It took everything in me to open the screen again. The video was gone, replaced with a black void. The channel's page showed nothing. No uploads. No thumbnails. No evidence. But the subscriber count had changed. It wasn't just me anymore. 2. I refreshed. The number ticked up. 3, 4, 5. It climbed with each passing second, faster and faster, like others were finding it at the same time. Like we were all being drawn into the same trap. And still, under the quiet hum of my apartment, I could hear the ticking. I should have stopped then. I should have deleted my account, thrown my laptop out the window, cut the cord. But I didn't, because the whisper wasn't just saying my name anymore. It was saying, "See you tomorrow." And I believed it.
I didn't sleep that night. How could I? Every time I closed my eyes, I swore I saw those hollow pits staring back at me. Every creak in the apartment sounded like someone shifting just out of view. And the worst part wasn't the fear, it was the anticipation. I knew, with a certainty that made me sick, that there would be another upload at midnight. The next day was a blur. Coffee couldn't keep me awake. Coworkers asked why I looked pale, and I laughed it off with excuses about deadlines. But underneath it, my mind pulsed with a single thought. What's waiting tonight? By the time evening rolled round, I was already planted in front of my laptop. I told myself it was just to prove I could ignore it. But when the clock struck 12, my hand moved on its own, refreshing the page, and there it was. Another blank thumbnail, another corrupted title. This time the room looked different. Same walls, same chair, but the angle had shifted again closer. The figure was still bound, but now I could see details. The ropes dug into pale arms, the skin blistered, and there was something wet on the floor beneath them. I squinted, trying to tell if it was water or... No, I didn't want to finish that thought. I leaned in, scanning for movement, when I noticed something that made my stomach twist. On the wall behind the chair, faint but visible, was graffiti. My initials dotted first. I thought it was coincidence, Pridolia, some scratches that just happened to look like letters. But the longer I stared, the clearer it became. My exact initials, carved deep, as if someone had been waiting for me to notice. The comments scrolled faster this time. Warnings mixed with taunts. Don't blink. It knows your name. Stay until the end. I tried to leave. I swear I tried. But the video didn't allow it. Every time I hit escape, the cursor froze. My trackpad stopped responding. Even the keyboard refused me. I was trapped until the video decided I wasn't. And then the figure lifted its head again. This time, the face was sharper. Not clear, not fully visible, but familiar. My own jawline, my own hair, matted and damp. The figure in the chair was me. I recoiled so hard my chair hit the wall. My heart thundered as the figure's lips moved, struggling against gagged restraints. I couldn't make out words, just muffled sounds. But I didn't need to. I already knew what I was trying to say. The screen went black. I sat there trembling, ears ringing with silence. My reflection in the dark laptop screen looked pale, almost corpse-like. When the channel refreshed, the video was gone again, replaced by nothing. But the subscriber count had jumped into the hundreds. The nights that followed blurred into a nightmare routine. Midnight uploads, each one worse than the last. Some nights, the videos showed the chair empty, just the room, waiting, as though daring me to imagine what came next. Other nights, the figure looked less like me and more like something else, a shadow version. My features stretched and wrong, grinning with teeth. The sharp the after effects grew stronger. 2. Objects in my apartment shifted places when I looked away. The smell of damp concrete lingered in the air. Once, I found a scrap of rope under my bed, frayed and damp, though I'd never owned rope. I wasn't alone in this either. One night, I got a message on Discord. Username deleted. The text was simple. Stop watching. They're watching you. Before I could reply, the message vanished, not just from my inbox, but from the server itself, like it had never existed. The paranoia ate me alive. I started covering the webcam with tape, muting my mic, disconnecting Wi-Fi during the day. None of it mattered. At night, the uploads always came back, always at midnight, always waiting for me to click, and I always clicked, because by then, I wasn't just afraid, I was obsessed. I needed to know how deep it went, what it wanted, how it ended. Each night dangled more questions. Each video whispered promises of answers if I stayed just a little longer. But answers weren't what I got. The last upload of that week didn't show the chair at all. Instead, it showed my apartment, my exact living room. Same couch, same crooked lamp. The camera angle was from the corner of the ceiling, like a hidden security cam. I stared at the grainy feed in horror, realizing what I was looking at. And then, after a moment, the front door opened. I watched as a figure stepped inside. Not me, not anyone I recognized, just a tall, faceless shape that moved with the confidence of someone who belonged. It crossed the room, turned toward the camera, and raised one hand. To wave. The video ended before I could scream. That was the night I realized this wasn't just a channel. It was an invitation. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? Every time I closed my eyes, I swore I saw those hollow pits staring back at me. Every creak in the apartment sounded like someone shifting just out of view. And the worst part wasn't the fear, it was the anticipation. I knew, with a certainty that made me sick, that there would be another upload at midnight. The next day was a blur. Coffee couldn't keep me awake. Coworkers asked why I looked pale, and I laughed it off with excuses about deadlines. But underneath it, my mind pulsed with a single thought. What's waiting tonight? By the time evening rolled around, I was already planted in front of my laptop. I told myself it was just to prove I could ignore it. But when the clock struck 12, my hand moved on its own, refreshing the page, and there it was. Another blank thumbnail, another corrupted title. This time the room looked different. Same walls, same chair, but the angle had shifted again closer. The figure was still bound, but now I could see details. The ropes dug into pale arms, the skin blistered, and there was something wet on the floor beneath them. I squinted, trying to tell if it was water or... No, I didn't want to finish that thought. I leaned in, scanning for movement, when I noticed something that made my stomach twist. On the wall behind the chair, faint but visible, was graffiti. My initials. At first, I thought it was coincidence, Pridolia, some scratches that just happened to look like letters. But the longer I stared, the clearer it became. My exact initials, carved deep, as if someone had been waiting for me to notice. The comments scrolled faster this time. Warnings mixed with taunts. Don't blink. It knows your name. Stay until the end. I tried to leave. I swear I tried. But the video didn't allow it. Every time I hit escape, the cursor froze. My trackpad stopped responding. Even the keyboard refused me. I was trapped until the video decided I wasn't. And then the figure lifted its head again. This time, the face was sharper. Not clear, not fully visible, but familiar. My own jawline, my own hair, matted and damp. The figure in the chair was me. I recoiled so hard my chair hit the wall. My heart thundered as the figure's lips moved, struggling against gagged restraints. I couldn't make out words, just muffled sounds. But I didn't need to. I already knew what I was trying to say. Help. The screen went black. I sat there trembling, ears ringing with silence. My reflection in the dark laptop screen looked pale, almost corpse-like. When the channel refreshed, the video was gone again, replaced by nothing. But the subscriber count had jumped into the hundreds. The nights that followed blurred into a nightmare routine. Midnight uploads, each one worse than the last. Some nights, the videos showed the chair empty, just the room, waiting, as though daring me to imagine what came next. Other nights, the figure looked less like me and more like something else, a shadow version. My features stretched and wrong, grinning with teeth as sharp. The after effects grew stronger, too. Objects in my apartment shifted places when I looked away. The smell of damp concrete lingered in the air. Once, I found a scrap of rope under my bed, frayed and damp, though I'd never owned rope. I wasn't alone in this, either. One night, I got a message on Discord. Username deleted. The text was simple. Stop watching. They're watching you. Before I could reply, the message vanished, not just from my inbox, but from the server itself, like it had never existed. The paranoia ate me alive. I started covering the webcam with tape, muting my mic, disconnecting Wi-Fi during the day. None of it mattered. At night, the uploads always came back, always at midnight, always waiting for me to click, and I always clicked, because by then, I wasn't just afraid, I was obsessed. I needed to know how deep it went, what it wanted, how it ended. Each night dangled more questions. Each video whispered promises of answers if I stayed just a little longer. But answers weren't what I got. The last upload of that week didn't show the chair at all. Instead, it showed my apartment, my exact living room. Same couch, same crooked lamp. The camera angle was from the corner of the ceiling, like a hidden security cam. I stared at the grainy feed in horror, realizing what I was looking at. And then, after a moment, the front door opened. I watched as a figure stepped inside. Not me, not anyone I recognized, just a tall, faceless shape that moved with the confidence of someone who belonged. It crossed the room, turned toward the camera, and raised one hand. To wave. The video ended before I could scream. That was the night I realized this wasn't just a channel. It was an invitation. The night of the live stream, I didn't even try to resist. I told myself I was logging on just to see if the rumors were true, just to confirm what the server had whispered. But deep down, I knew the truth. I wanted it. I wanted to see how far it could go. At 12:01 on the dot, the channel page refreshed. No thumbnail this time, just a red box that pulsed like a heartbeat. Live now. My chest clenched. The chat on the side of the screen was already moving faster than I could read. Dozens of anonymous users, all typing frantic warnings and desperate prayers. I couldn't look away. The stream flickered to life with a burst of static. At first, it was the same setup: the room, the chair, the clock ticking in the background. But then the feed glitched, skipped, and the angle changed. It wasn't the concrete room anymore. It was a bedroom. My bedroom, the lamp on my desk, the pile of laundry I hadn't bothered to fold, even the chipped mug by my nightstand, and worst of all, the laptop glowing faintly on the desk. I was watching myself from the corner of my own ceiling. For a long moment, I just sat there frozen, staring at the stream of me staring at the stream. My brain couldn't catch up. It felt like falling into an endless mirror. The chat exploded. It's you. It found you. Run. I snapped the laptop shut, heart pounding, but the whispering didn't stop. The tick 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 of that damn clock still pulsed in the room, though the laptop was closed. Against my better judgment, I opened it again, and that's when I saw it. In the feed. The door to my apartment creaked open. I spun in my chair so fast I nearly fell. The door behind me was still shut, locked tight, but on the screen it wasn't. A shadow stretched across the floor as something entered. Something tall, faceless, its outline blurred, like the camera couldn't hold it in focus. The thing moved with deliberate slowness, crossing the room, heading straight for the desk. For me. And then it stopped. It turned its head, or what passed for a head, toward the webcam, toward the audience, and it raised its hand, palm flat, pressing it to the lens. The chat went berserk. I saw it too. It's in my house. Don't let it touch you. I felt the air shift in my apartment, heavy, suffocating, like the pressure before a storm. My ears popped, my vision TUNNELED. And then my own webcam light flicked on. I hadn't touched anything, but there it was, glowing a sharp green, and suddenly the stream split into two panels. On the left, the figure in my room, moving closer. On the right, my own face, pale and wide-eyed, staring into the screen like a trapped animal. I tried covering the camera with my hand. On screen, the figure mimicked me. Every motion I made, it copied. Only it wasn't delayed. It was faster, like it knew what I'd do before I did it. I whispered, "Stop," and the thing mouthed the same word at the same time. The chat filled with a single repeating message: "Stay until the end." The figure reached the chair in the corner of the feed, the same chair from every upload. It turned, slow and graceful, and gestured toward it. An invitation. I shook my head. No. The figure tilted its head like it was disappointed. And then the lights in my apartment flickered, once, twice. When they steadied, the chair in my living room, the chair that had been empty, wasn't empty anymore. There was someone bound to it. I knew that profile, that slumped posture, That was me dot to versions of me now, one panicked at the desk, the other strapped and silent in the corner. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. My reality fractured in front of me, and I couldn't tell which version was true anymore. The stream zoomed in on the bound figure. The gagged mouth moved, straining to form words. The static crackled, and for a moment, just a moment, I heard it clearly. Let them in. I slammed the laptop shut again, harder this time, half expecting glass to shatter. Silence. Darkness. Just the thud of my heartbeat. I didn't dare move for what felt like hours. When I finally cracked the screen open, the stream was over. No replay, no evidence. Just the channel page, black and empty, except for one new line of text in the description box. That was the night my life stopped being mine. It wasn't typed in my voice, but it might as well have been, because I knew it was true. From that moment forward, I wasn't just a viewer. I was part of the content. After the live stream, things stopped being confined to screens. The separation between online and real life snapped like a frayed wire, and suddenly the horror followed me everywhere. The first signs were small, almost easy to dismiss. The clock in my kitchen began to tick louder, out of rhythm, like the one from the videos. No matter how many batteries I swapped, it kept that same dragging, suffocating cadence. Then came the voice's tiny echoes in the silence of my apartment. I'd hear my name whispered just as I was about to fall asleep, like someone leaning close to my ear. I told myself it was paranoia, my brain replaying the live stream. But the proof grew impossible to deny. My phone started recording on its own. Random clips saved to the gallery footage of me sleeping, of me pacing the hallway, of me whispering things I didn't remember saying. The timestamps matched midnight exactly, every single night. When I tried deleting the files, they came back, multiplied, and the faces. God, the faces, every reflective surface became untrustworthy. The mirror in my bathroom didn't just show me anymore, it lagged. I'd walk past and see myself still standing there, staring, even after I'd moved away. In the reflection, sometimes my eyes were black, or my mouth was stitched shut. I stopped looking at mirrors altogether, taping newspaper over them like I was hiding from some old superstition. But the windows, I couldn't cover them all out. One night, I woke to the sound of tapping, slow, deliberate, on the glass beside my bed. I forced myself to look, and outside, though I live on the 5th floor, something was pressed against the window. A hand, to long, to thin, its fingers bending like branches in a storm. Behind it, just darkness. I told myself not to blink, not to move, but when I finally grabbed the courage to flick on the lamp, the glass was clean, empty, like it had never happened. The channel knew me now. It wasn't about watching anymore. It was about ownership. The worst proof came not from the apartment, but from people around me. A coworker pulled me aside one morning, eyes wide, and asked why I had sent them a video at 3 in the morning. I hadn't sent anything. They showed me their phone. It was me, sitting in the chair, smiling with a mouth too wide, whispering something garbled. The file had no sender information, no origin, just their dots. Soon after, others started avoiding me. Whispers spread. People said they dreamed of me knocking at their windows, that they'd heard me calling their names in the dark. I was becoming the infection, whether I wanted to or not. I tried to fight back. I unplugged my router, smashed my phone, even left the laptop in a dumpster 2 blocks away. But at midnight, the static still came. On the radio, on the TV, even when it wasn't plugged in. On the old landline phone I hadn't touched in years. And then came the smells: burnt ozone, damp concrete, and the faint copper tang of blood. My apartment carried it like a second skin. Neighbors complained. I couldn't scrub it away. I stopped sleeping altogether. Every time I closed my eyes, I'd see the chair, waiting. Sometimes I was in it. Sometimes someone else was. And sometimes, horrifyingly, it was people I knew. Friends, strangers from the server. Their faces blurred and stitched into the scenery. Reality wasn't breaking anymore, it had already broken. The channel wasn't bleeding through. It was here. And every rule we'd whispered in the forums, don't comment, don't download, don't answer, suddenly felt pointless. Because it had already chosen me. The final straw came when I found the envelope under my door. No stamp, no return address, just my name in shaky, smudged handwriting. Inside was a single photograph, glossy and fresh dot. It was my living room. The chair, and me, bound to a dot. The photo wasn't staged. It wasn't Photoshop. The bruises on my wrists matched the ones forming on my skin that very moment, raw and tender though I hadn't been touched. The timestamp on the back read, tomorrow, 12 o'clock. I dropped the photo like it burned, my hands shaking uncontrollably, because it wasn't just a threat, it was a promise, and deep down, I already knew there would be no stopping it. The knock came at 3 in the morning, soft at first, like someone testing the wood. I thought it was a dream until the knocking came again, harder, threaded with impatience. My heart lurched. For a second I considered not moving, pretending sleep had me, that I wouldn't answer. Then the chair, the photo, the live stream burned hotter than my fear, and I stumbled out of bed. At the peephole, I saw only a smear of shadow, no face, just darkness that shifted at the edges. Who is it? I asked. Silence answered. Then my own voice returned from the other side. Mimicry, open up. We want to talk. It was impossible. My cadence, my inflection used against me. I locked the deadbolt harder, as if metal might stop a pattern. The visitors knocked in the rhythm I had heard in the video, slow, slow, quick like a language designed to open a mind. They whispered my memories back at me, the name of my childhood street, a joke I told years ago. Each memory landed heavy, folding me inward. The intercom clicked though I don't own one, and a thin voice sighed through it. Let us in. We're part of you. I peeked through the crack and saw silhouettes at the far end of the hall. Figures, motionless. Faces were hollows of static. Limbs bent wrong. One stepped forward and pressed something to the peephole. The glass fogged where it touched. They moved like polite guests, hands folded, not rushing. One left a wet mark on the floor that smelled of ozone and iron. The hallway lights blinked out and the silhouettes slipped into the dark, as if they'd always waited there. The deadbolt clicked. I hadn't touched it. The latch fell and the door eased open. They stood in the threshold with the calm of strangers at a party. One crossed the line, leaving the air colder, the room dimmer. It hummed, a low frequency that made my teeth ache. We're sorry, it said in my voice stretched thin. We just want to be known. The figure turned toward the living room, toward the chair, its head inclined invitation or command. I should have backed away, called someone, dragged furniture against the door. Instead, curiosity worse than fear pushed me forward. I followed them through the pool of shadow at the threshold and felt the space press against me. Thick and heavy dot inside, things shifted without touch. The lamp flickered, the rug bunched as if invisible feet passed. The clock's tick grew monstrously loud, the only steady thing in a room unmoored. A figure leaned over the chair and traced the armrest. The fabric darkened where the finger passed. The chair seemed to breathe, expecting. They didn't touch me. Their presence rearranged the room until it matched the video's geometry. One of them turned, and where a face should be was the outline of me. No features, only the implication of my jawline. It whispered, sit. The chorus around me swelled. Voices layered into a chant that tugged at some primitive center. Sit, sit, sit. It was an instruction and a temptation. I thought of the server's pinned message tomorrow. It won't be a video. It'll be live. And felt the gravity of inevitability. I could have fled. I could have slammed the door, called the building, broken the glass. But the pull of the chair was more than curiosity. It was the pull of becoming content, of finishing the sentence the channel had started. With hands I could barely feel, I moved toward the chair. Each step was a confession. The figure stepped back as if making way for me. Up close, the static on its skin crawled like a living thing. It leaned in and, in my voice, breathed, thank you. I sat. The straps were loosened as if the chair had been waiting for my consent. The room smelled of damp concrete and old iron. Then the hands thinned, cool folded over my wrists, and the world narrowed to the ticking. They left me there. And as they crossed back to the threshold, one of them raised its hand and pressed it flat to the doorframe, leaving a smear that glittered like television static. Don't fear us, it said. Be seen. When the door clicked closed, isolation hit like a physical thing. My reflection in the darkened TV showed eyes to bright, a face already relishing a performance. My phone buzzed with notifications. Strangers in the server were typing. Their messages a frantic blur. It watched him. It's taking names. Later, when morning light touched the blinds, I realized the photograph under the chair, a glossy print I didn't remember taking, was new. It showed the living room from the ceiling angle, the chair occupied, my hands bound. On the margin, in letters that smelled of static, was written a single line: "Welcome home." I used to think the channel was a place you visited, a corner of the internet you could enter and exit at will, like a haunted house you dared yourself to walk through. But now I know the truth. It isn't a place. It's a cycle, a loop. And once you're inside, you don't leave, you just become another layer of it. Every night bleeds into the next. Midnight comes, the static hums, and the chair waits. Sometimes I'm sitting in it. Sometimes I'm watching myself sit in it. And sometimes I'm outside the whole thing, watching both versions of me like reruns of a show I never agreed to star in. There's no way to tell which is the real me anymore. The worst part is how normal it feels now. I make coffee, I brush my teeth, I scroll my phone, but beneath all of it is the ticking. The same, deliberate rhythm. And every time I glance at the clock, the hands are always on 12. Midnight isn't a moment anymore. It's a state of being. I've noticed patterns. New channels sprout, faceless accounts posting after midnight only. Their uploads look different: new rooms, new chairs, new faces, but the bones are the same. And in the chats, I see fresh viewers, innocent, curious, making the same mistakes I did. I want to warn them, to scream, "Don't watch, don't click, don't stay till the end." But I can't. The words dissolve when I try to type. The channel won't let me dot. Sometimes I catch glimpses of others who've been taken, their eyes hollow, their smiles cracked, their voices sensing with the static. And I realize I'm one of them now. I'm part of the archive, another midnight face staring back at whoever dares to watch. Maybe that's the channel's true horror. Not that it scares you, but that it absorbs you. That it takes your story, your life, your face, and makes it content. Forever. And if you're listening to this, if you're still here, then maybe you've already felt it, the tick in your walls, the faint reflection lagging behind, the knock that doesn't belong. You think you're safe because you haven't clicked, because you're only hearing a story. That's what I thought, but midnight comes for everyone eventually. If you've stayed with me this long, you already know the truth. There's no clever twist, no last-minute escape, no miracle that breaks the loop. The channel doesn't end, it only changes who it uses. I used to think I was just watching, just another insomniac pulling content from the darkest corners of YouTube. But now I understand. The channel was watching me back. Every click, every late night return, every second I stared at that chair was an invitation. And I gave it freely. Now, I don't wonder if the next video will feature me. I wonder how many already do. Maybe you've seen me and didn't realize it. A blurred face in the background, a reflection too fast to be natural, a voice layered under the static. Maybe I've been part of the uploads longer than I knew. The chair isn't just mine anymore. It's yours, too. That's the cycle. One night, you're curious, scrolling past midnight, ignoring the warning signs. The next, you're in the room, waiting for your turn, while the rest of us watch from the shadows. I can feel it even now, pressing at the edges of this confession. The whisper, urging me to stop, telling me I've said too much. The static isn't background noise anymore, it's a command. Stay quiet. Don't warn them. Keep the cycle clean. But I can't. I won't. This is the only choice I have left, to tell you, even if it damns you, too. Because maybe, just maybe, if enough of us speak, if enough of us share what we've seen, the cycle will stutter, break, or maybe that's exactly what it wants. Maybe this story is just another upload, another midnight offering to the archive, and by listening, by letting the words crawl into your head, you've already joined. Maybe you will notice it tonight, the faint tick of a clock that doesn't belong, the reflection in your screen smiling just a second late. When you do, remember this, it isn't a mistake, it's an invitation, and the upload never ends.